Hello grade 11s. Today I'm looking at page 66 from your workbooks. This shows a pentagonal pyramid with the auxiliary view and the front view. In the information they've asked you to do the sectional top view and the sectional right view. Show the necessary construction, so that would be drawing the auxiliary view, and no hidden detail is required. So let's just remember, this is the symbol for first angle, where the tapered roller is always the front view, the circles are always the left view, and because the circles are on the right hand side, it's indicating that it is the first angle orthographic projection. If we just go over the positioning of the views, here is the front view. The top view is opposite, so that's going to be on the bottom of the front view. And they've asked for the sectional right view, and the right view then goes on the left hand side of the front view. So there we have the positioning that we're going to need for this drawing. So I'm going to start now with the construction of my pentagon. There I've constructed the auxiliary view, and I've just put in the lines going to the top of the pyramid. I haven't put them in hidden detail. So from that I'm going to now project my lines down at a right angle to this, so it would be 60 degrees down to come and get the points that I need here for the front view. Here I've projected my lines down from each of the corners, and I've left a space of 15 millimeters between the bottom of the auxiliary view and where I want the top of my pyramid in the front view. I've then marked off a distance of 43 here, which is the height. Of my front view. I'm going to now draw in those lines and get my shape. I've completed my front view and I've put in the cutting plane. Remember to darken at the ends of the cutting plane and label AA. In this case they haven't put in arrows because they want them in both views, so that's why they don't have arrows at indicating which side they want the section. I'm now going to project my right view. So I'm going to take each of the corners of my front view, project the height dimensions across, and then I'm going to get the width dimensions off the auxiliary view. There I've projected my 5 corners and the top of my pyramid. This would be the furthest edge of the front view, so I'm going to mark off my space between the views of 15. And now I need to get the width measurements, and I'm going to get those from the auxiliary view. To get the width measurements, what I've done here is just extended the corners parallel to the angle that it has been tilted at, and now I'm just going to draw in a vertical line. So all these points now are the different width dimensions that I need in my right view. So this edge is going to line up with the edge on my right view, and then I'm going to mark off all of those once I've rotated them down into my right view. We can do that 2 ways. We could take your compass and mark them off, or you could take a paper trammel. I'm going to use my compass to do that. Before I transfer those width dimensions across with my compass, I want to just label the corners of my shape as well as the top. I like to take the highest point here, so that would be my start point. I'm just going to go around that clockwise now, and I like the highest point of my pyramid to be T. So if I follow these lines across, it means that this is width dimension 1, this is width dimension for points 2 and 5, and this is the width dimension for points 4 and 3. If I follow those lines down to where I get them in my front view, point 1 is at the bottom here, point T is at the top. If I follow the line down, that would be point 2, this would be point 3, here is point 4, and here is point 5. So when we look at this across here in the right view, T would be this point, follow it across, here's 2, here is point 3, here is point 1, here is point 4, and here would be point 5. And now I'm going to mark off the width dimensions. So if I take this distance to point 1, now this is going to be the edge of my shape. So point 3 and 4 are actually on this line. Here is point 1 now, so I'm going to go to point 1 and mark that off. So there is my width dimension 1. Next, take my width dimension at 2. Here's my width dimension at 2 and 5. So I'm going to go to the height level of 2 and the height level of 5, and that gives me those 2 points. Next, I need the height level at the width at the top of my shape. I'm going, here is my T height, and there is my T width. Now we can join up all those points just in construction lines to give us an outline before we put in the cutting plane. There I have the base of my pyramid, and now I just need to take each of those points up to the top of the pyramid. There I have what the pyramid would look like before I take the points across for my cutting plane. I'm now going to plot the points along the cutting plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first point here and then work across the shape, so in a logical type of approach. Here is point 2, so I would go to point 2, going up to the top, and that gets cut at this point. So I need to project that line to cut this line on my line going up to the top of the pyramid. I'm going to follow that same process now. So here's point 3, here is corner 3. Where it goes up to the top, it gets cut at this point. So here's corner 3 going up to the top of my pyramid, and I need to project this line across to give me where the necessary line is. Just out a little bit. Next is point 1. So here is point 1, and it's going to get cut at this point here. So I need to project my line across to cut point 1. Following my process across, here is where it's going to cut line 4. So I project that to cut line 4. And lastly, line 5. Please remember this part is gone, so that's why I'm going to be seeing that inside little piece there. Now it's a matter of trying to join those points up. So I would start by joining the top of shape. Just lost that a little bit. Okay, there I've joined the points for the top of my shape. And now I'm going to go over the lines in an outline and hatch my section part. There we have the completed sectional right view on AA. So the next thing we'll do is we'll project our lines down from the front view to get the top view, and once again mark off the width dimensions. Get the outline of the shape, and then work out where the cutting plane cuts. I have projected the length dimensions down into the top view. From my bottom or lowest point of the front view, I've measured my distance between the views of 15. Now I need to get the width dimension. Now we could once again take the width dimension off the auxiliary view, or you could take the lines down from your right view to a 45-degree that has been drawn at the intersection of the left edge and the lowest edge of my front view. So you could do either of those methods, it's up to you. I'm just going to project my lines from my right view just to show you how you can do that. There was the top. So these were lines 3 and 4. This was my top line. This was points 2 and 5, and this was point 1. So if we take the theory of 2 points, here is point 1. I've projected that down, and this must extend till it hits point 1. Here's point 2 and 5. I project that to where points 2 and 5 are. There's 5, and here is 2. This is the top of my pyramid. There's the top, and points 3 and 4. Well, that should be at this corner here, and there is point 3, and there is corner 4. I'm now going to join up those corners of my base first, and then join them to the top, just in construction lines, because then I still need to work out where the cutting points are along my cutting plane AA. There are all the base points joined up, and I'm now going to take them to the top. And there is what my pyramid would look like before it gets cut. Now we're going to follow our points down along the cutting plane to find what the true shape of that cutting plane is. So once again, my logical process, I'm going to start on this right edge and work my points across. So here is point 2, I know, and it gets cut at this point, so I'm now going to project down to the 2 point going to the top, and where this vertical line hits, that is going to give me my 2 point on the cutting plane. Next, here is line 3 going to the top, and it gets cut at this point, so on this line I'm going to project this across, project it down, and this gives me point 3. The next point I hit is point 1. Here is point 1 going to the top. The cutting plane cuts at this edge here, Let's take this point down. And that's where it hits point 1. Point 4. Point 4. And point 5. Now I need to join up all those points at the cutting plane. So there I have the outline of my cutting plane. So I need to hatch this inside piece, and these are the remainder of the pyramid bases there, and then the lines joining up to our cutting plane. I'm going to do the hatching and label the view.